I had the ring ready until a stranger called my girlfriend's phone. What he revealed about her double life broke me. I, 32M, had everything planned to perfection. The ring had been burning a hole in my pocket for weeks. I'd made reservations at the restaurant where we had our first date 3 years ago. I even arranged for her favorite flowers to be waiting at our table. This was going to be the night that changed our lives forever. At least, that's what I thought. We'd been together for just over 3 years. Met through mutual friends at a birthday party, and it felt like we clicked instantly. She was smart, funny, and understood me in ways no one else ever had. When you know, right? Living together for the past year and a half had only reinforced what I already felt, that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. We had our disagreements like any couple, but we always managed to work through them. Communication was our strength, or so I believed. The proposal was scheduled for Friday night. On Wednesday, I came home early from work, hoping to finalize some details for the big night. She wasn't expecting me for another couple of hours, and her car wasn't in the driveway, so I figured she was out running errands. I had just settled at the kitchen table with my laptop when I heard her key in the door. Instinctively, I closed my browser where I'd been looking at honeymoon destinations. Didn't want to spoil the surprise. She walked in, shopping bags in hand, and seemed startled to see me. "You're home early," she said, placing her bags on the counter. "Yeah, managed to wrap things up sooner than expected." I got up to give her a kiss. Thought I'd get a head start on the weekend. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "That's nice. I'm just going to put these away and take a quick shower." As she disappeared into our bedroom, her phone, which she'd placed on the counter, lit up with a notification. I wasn't the type to snoop, never had been, but something about her demeanor felt off. Before I could look away, another notification came through, and I caught a glimpse of the message preview. Asterisk, can't wait to see you tomorrow. It's been too long. Asterisk. I frowned. Tomorrow was Thursday. We both had work, and she hadn't mentioned any plans. It was probably nothing, I told myself. A friend, a colleague, maybe that cousin she'd reconnected with recently. I heard the shower start and tried to focus back on my laptop, but my mind kept wandering. Then her phone rang. The contact name displayed was Work. Without thinking much of it, I called out to her. "Your phone's ringing." "It's Work." The shower continued running. After a few more rings, the call stopped. Seconds later, it started again. Whoever it was seemed persistent. Still ringing. I called out louder this time. No response. I debated answering it for her. We'd done that for each other plenty of times. What if it was important? After the third consecutive call, I picked up. "Hello." I answered. Silence on the other end. Then, a man's voice. "Who's this?" He sounded confused. "This is her boyfriend. She's in the shower. Can I take a message?" Another pause. "Her boyfriend." The confusion in his voice deepened. "I think there's been a mistake." "No mistake. You called her phone. Do you need me to have her call you back?" "Yeah, no. Actually." He hesitated. "Look, man, I don't know what's going on, but she told me she was single." My stomach dropped. "What?" "We've been seeing each other for about 6 months now. She told me she lived alone." 6 months. The time frame hit me like a punch to the gut. That was around when she'd started having more late nights at work and weekend seminars. "Who is this?" I demanded, my voice barely above a whisper. "I think you and I need to have a conversation," he said. Because I was supposed to meet her tomorrow to look at apartments together. The room started spinning. Apartments? Were they planning to move in together while she was still living with me? The shower shut off. I heard her humming from the bathroom. "I need to go," I told him. "But can you text this number in about an hour?" "Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I had no idea." I hung up just as the bathroom door opened. She emerged wrapped in a towel, hair dripping. "Who was that?" she asked casually. I struggled to keep my expression neutral. "Wrong number." I lied, placing her phone back on the counter. They hung up when they realized they had the wrong person. "Oh, okay." She grabbed her phone and headed to the bedroom to change. My mind raced. 6 months. Apartment hunting. The late nights and weekend absences suddenly took on a sinister meaning. All while I'd been planning to propose. I needed proof, something more concrete than a stranger's word. But I also knew I couldn't confront her without being certain. The next hour was the longest of my life. I pretended to work while she made dinner, chatting about her day as if nothing was wrong. When her phone buzzed with a text, I watched from the corner of my eye as she read it, her expression changing subtly. She excused herself to respond to a work email and disappeared into the bedroom again. That night, I barely slept. She curled up next to me as usual, her breathing eventually evening out into sleep, while I stared at the ceiling, my mind a hurricane of doubts and questions. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I couldn't focus anyway. She left for work as normal, kissing me goodbye and telling me to feel better soon. As soon as her car pulled away, I searched our apartment. I wasn't proud of it, but I needed answers. In her desk drawer, I found a small notebook. Inside were notes about apartment viewings, prices, locations, pros and cons. Some had stars next to them. There were also receipts from restaurants I'd never been to, movie tickets for showings during times she'd told me she was working late. The evidence was mounting, but still, I held on to a thread of hope that there might be an explanation. Maybe she was planning a surprise. Maybe the guy on the phone was confused or lying. Then I found it, a small velvet jewelry box tucked away in her sock drawer. For a moment, my heart leapt. Was she planning to propose to me? Had I misunderstood everything? I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a man's watch. Expensive, by the look of it. The card tucked underneath read, "For all the moments to come. Can't wait to start our life together." It wasn't signed, but it didn't need to be. The pieces all fit now. I carefully put everything back exactly as I'd found it. Then I sat on our couch and stared at the ring box in my pocket. 3 years. 3 years of what I thought was building a life together. And all along, what? Had it all been a lie? When had things changed? Why hadn't she just ended things if she wanted to be with someone else? I spent the day alternating between rage, grief, and disbelief. By the time she came home, I'd made a decision. I wouldn't confront her yet. I wanted to see how far this would go. "Feeling better?" she asked, setting her bag down. "Much," I lied. "In fact, I was thinking we could go out tomorrow night. That new place downtown you've been wanting to try." Her face fell slightly. "Tomorrow? I actually have a work thing. Some clients are in town, and my boss wants me to take them to dinner." Another lie. "Can't you get out of it?" "I made reservations already. Thought it would be nice after being sick all day." "I'm sorry, but it's important." Rain check. She kissed my cheek. "I promise we'll go next week." That night, I texted the number that had called her phone. We agreed to meet the following evening at a coffee shop across town. The next day dragged endlessly. When she left for work, dressed nicer than usual, and wearing the perfume I'd given her for her birthday, I waited 20 minutes before heading to the coffee shop. He was already there when I arrived, about my age, well-dressed, normal-looking. He recognized me from my description and waved me over. The conversation that followed was surreal. He showed me text messages, photos of them together, details of their relationship that left no room for doubt. He'd been just as deceived as I had. She'd told him she was single, focused on her career, not looking for anything serious at first. Then things had gotten more serious, and the apartment hunting had begun. "I'm sorry, man," he said, genuine regret in his eyes. "If I'd known about you, I never would have." "I know," I replied. "Not your fault." We compared timelines, filling in the gaps for each other. He'd met her at a conference 6 months ago, one she'd actually attended for work. What had started as a fling had evolved, at least for him. He thought they were building towards something real, just like I had. By the time I got home, my reservation at the proposal restaurant long canceled. I was numb. I sat in our dark apartment, the ring box heavy in my hand, waiting. She came home around 10, slightly tipsy, smelling of wine and that same perfume. "How was the client dinner?" I asked from the darkness of the living room. She jumped. "God, you scared me. Why are you sitting in the dark?" I turned on the lamp beside me. "How was dinner?" I repeated. Fine. Boring work stuff." She set her purse down, avoiding my eyes. "You should have seen the bill they racked up on wine alone." "Interesting." I stood up. "Because I had a very enlightening dinner myself tonight." She froze. "Oh, yeah. Nice guy? Works in finance. Has been dating my girlfriend for 6 months." I watched her face carefully. "Said you two are looking at apartments together." The color drained from her face. "I can explain." "Can you? Can you explain these?" I placed the notebook, the receipts, and finally, the watch box on the coffee table between us. She stared at the items, then at me, panic rising in her eyes. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been living a double life. Building a future with me while planning one with him." I was confused, she whispered. Things between us had become so routine, so comfortable. When I met him, it was exciting and new and... Save it, I cut her off. "You know what the worst part is? This." I pulled out the ring box and opened it. The diamond caught the lamplight, throwing prisms across the wall. "I was going to propose tomorrow night. Had the whole thing planned. But I guess you had other plans." She covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I never meant to hurt you. Funny how people always say that after they've done exactly that." I snapped the box shut. "I'll be staying at my brother's tonight. I expect you'll need some time to pack your things." "Please," she reached for me. "We can work through this. It was a mistake. I got caught up in something, but what we have is real." I stepped back from her touch. What we had was real. To me, anyway. But you can't build a marriage on lies, and I don't think I could ever trust you again. As I packed an overnight bag, she followed me around the apartment, alternating between apologizing and making excuses. The man hadn't meant anything to her. She'd been about to end it. She loved me, only me. But the damage was done. In one phone call, everything I thought I knew had unraveled. The future I'd imagined for us had vanished. Before I left, I turned to her one last time. Were you ever going to tell me? Or just disappear one day with some excuse about needing space? She couldn't meet my eyes. I don't know, she admitted quietly. I kept waiting for clarity, for some sign of what I really wanted. Well, I said, picking up my bag, consider this your sign. The weeks that followed were a blur of logistics and grief. Separating our lives after 3 years together was complicated. Friends took sides. Belongings were divided. The apartment we'd shared, filled with memories and plans, felt hollow now. She moved out first, though not to the new apartment she'd been viewing. Both relationships had imploded spectacularly. Her double life exposed. She'd lost not just me, but him as well. Last I heard, she was staying with a friend, trying to piece her life back together. As for me, I kept the ring. Not out of sentimentality or hope for reconciliation, but as a reminder. A reminder that sometimes the people we think we know best are strangers in disguise. A reminder that love, while powerful, isn't blind and shouldn't be. 3 months later, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked smaller somehow, subdued. We exchanged awkward pleasantries. She was starting therapy, she told me, trying to understand why she'd sabotaged something good, why she couldn't just be happy with what she had. I wished her well and meant it. The anger had faded, leaving only a dull ache and the wisdom that comes from hard lessons. As I walked away, I felt the absence of the ring box that had lived in my pocket for so long. I'd finally sold it the week before, using the money to book a solo trip abroad, something I'd always wanted to do but had put off for someday. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives become unexpected doorways to better ones. The proposal I'd planned never happened, but in its place came a different kind of promise, one I made to myself. To trust my instincts, to value honesty above comfort, and to remember that even shattered plans can be remade into something new. The life I'd envisioned with her died the moment I answered that phone call. But in its place, a different future began to take shape, uncertain and unwritten, but authentically mine.